And so let's bring you up to speed with what the papers are saying. The front pages are also delving deep into party politics this morning. Let's start with the New Telegraph. Take a look at the front page. National Secretary, of course, that's the position that is in contention in the main opposition party. PDP crisis deepens as NWC counters Damagum governors, reinstates Anyanwu. So which way PDP really? So many questions in that mix, but we'll hold our horses and ask them later on the program when we get into it. We'll look at the front page as well. You see right there a picture of the Lagos State governor in handshake with a member of the private sector, I believe. And, you know, just yesterday, the videos were awash all over the social media space with the governor celebrating his 60th birthday. Yes, that's the Managing Director, Chief Executive Officer, First Bank, Mr. Olusegun Alebioshu, during a courtesy visit to celebrate with Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu on his 60th birthday yesterday. And, you know, the governor was in high spirits, and it was, you know, beautiful to watch as he celebrated his 60th birthday. And we wish him well as well on this occasion. Kaida, you have the next paper.
Well, let's turn our attention to this Nigeria. This Nigeria focuses on the PDP issues. You see, PDP reinstates Anyanwu as National Secretary, suspends NEC meeting. It's a page 2 read. You see the explainer saying he's been working, not an appointee. Wike chides Demagum. So yeah, that's it. But you know, also yesterday, the statement came out saying that, well, Damagum has not been reinstated, the NEC meeting not cancelled or postponed. And that statement was jointly signed by Deputy National Chairman Salve, Acting National Secretary, a lot more people, National Treasurer, which is why a lot of people are saying maybe, just maybe, we might need more than just the physical interventions, the spiritual interventions for political parties as well, with all of the back and forth that we're seeing, i.e. prayer and fasting.
And you have a point with that prayer bit. When you look at Labour Party, there are challenges. When you look at SDP, also in recent times, there are challenges. So which way, opposition? Do we need prayers for the opposition? Are they ready for 2027? In fact, don't even go that far. Are they ready for the coming off-cycle elections? So these questions, they should be reflecting on more than we are. Speaking of other issues that are more important for reflection, let's go to the front page of the Daily Independent this morning, away from party politics to what affects you and I. Again, tomatoes are now luxury in Nigerian kitchens. That's what the Daily Independent is reporting this morning. Let's look at some of the insights. Families switch to substitutes as price soars. Stakeholders finger insecurity, policy gaps, post-harvest losses, say FG must treat production as national food security issue. And so it's unsurprising, really, when you consider continuing insecurity in Nigeria's north. But the danger is that the attention is not on it. Attention is on other issues like party politics, insecurity that is fueling it, by the way. But there goes the bigger problem. Food staple is a luxury in many Nigerian homes. And if some of us can afford it, what about those who are unable to afford it? That's, you know, very near precarious, Jeffrey.
Yeah. Let's get to the Guardian newspaper and see what is leading with. I always like how they lead with, you know, pictures and data. So the big one is, amid weak social services, states stake nearly 200 billion naira on renovations. Amid weak social services, states stake nearly 200 billion naira on renovations. So you can see pictures of different states. They say 3 states may spend 122 billion on office renovation in 3 years. States to spend 22% of budget on health, education, 6 trillion naira allocation to 2 critical growth sectors, governors may dip hands in capital votes to fund vanities. I like the way they wrote that. So this is the dilemma between the expectation of the people and how the political class want to impress who voted for them. There are people that if you put them in ministry that tangibles are not the highlight of success, they may likely fail. Politicians like you to see what they are doing. That is why the natural pot of call for most of them, or for some of them, or I can say a lot of them, is to put out infrastructure that you can see roads. If you want to do schools, they may not equip it the way it should be equipped, but they will build the infrastructure in terms of the building, the bridges. I can go on and on. Things that are visible that they can say, oh, this governor, this chairman, this person is doing this, that, and the other. And sometimes even legislators have joined in that fray as well, tangible things. But investing in research, that's why I have there's a particular lawmaker in one state I have a lot of respect for, Kayode. I see him on Facebook. I realize that he's always sending people abroad to go and study. It's either vocational courses or degree. And I'm impressed. One Akwa Ibom lawmaker like that. Those are what I call intangibles that will be a lifelong impact. We're not saying infrastructure is not a good thing. Of course, if you do roads, it naturally opens up development in that route. But these are the things that people are saying. Renovation alone now, okay, I'm sure you were aware before you left, is now costing 39 billion naira to renovate the ICC, the International Conference Center. We have been saying we want to see the budget breakdown of the FCT so we can understand. Perhaps we were not privy to the details, that's why we're worried. 39 billion looks like too much money to spend on renovating anything.
Because we have good taste.
What happens to build? The building was built with about 200 and something million naira, and it's renovated with 39 billion. Let's even say the FX regime has changed and all of that. So renovation alone is just scary.
I'm told the FCT minister said that the president has good taste.
That is not an answer.
Or something like that.
No, that is an unacceptable answer. We say bring the breakdown of how you spend this 39 billion. The president can have a good taste. It's not our kettle of fish. It's public money. It's nobody's money. It's our money. So we want to know how you spend 39 billion. We can go on and on, but what this report is actually saying is to the effect that different states are now doing renovation.
Yeah, speaking of which, Oyo State government has also concluded renovation work on the government house with over 60 billion naira. So the FCT is not alone on this. And here's a state where, was it earlier this year or late last year? I think it was late last year, where there was a stampede and, children were rushing to an event to get...
Bukola had to go there.
No, I have to go there. If we cannot reflect on these things, and then there's a bigger problem on our hands, we must continue to, have these conversations so that we can, have critical thinking on what exactly is the problem with society. I can't forget, those children died in the stampede and they just wanted to get food or the normal party things. So why aren't we investing in our own human resource? And from the foundation as well, education, the health sector, why don't we prioritize them as much as we also prioritize, infrastructure development? These are big questions that we must continue to ask. I'm bored about asking them.
Absolutely, guys. Absolutely. These are the real issues as we continue to harp on. Do we have a Vanguard newspaper? The front page of the Vanguard newspaper speaks to that Niger clash. 20 soldiers, scores of bandits die in Niger clash. Yeah. Again, when these stories come up, the natural question is Nigeria at war? I think the answer is just right there before all of us. But what I do not see as much is that response. I know we've said time and again that nobody's coming to save you because these countries already have their own obligations, their defense obligations. As big as Ukraine is on weapons, there's an embargo because it has to cater to its own needs first, right? So it's not allowed to make weapons for anyone or sell weapons because there's a very present need. I can go around as well. These nations are now sort of hoarding in that sense because they don't know what tomorrow holds, right? So what is Nigeria doing to ensure that we appreciate what we're fighting against and we give it more than enough response? Because 20 soldiers dying. Yes, scores of bandits also died as well. They paid the ultimate price. But you hear of the civilian casualty as well, time and again. And it sends you that signal that this is not a normal situation. Clearly, we need more equipment. We need more boots on ground. I mean, in some of those countries, you have them being trained for military at a very young age. Oh, yes. I'm talking adolescents in secondary school, as we call it, get military training because they know that they're in a very dangerous and precarious situation. So what more are we doing to change our lot in that sense? Because the world has a lot on its plate. It is sad to see the soldiers paying the ultimate price. It is great to see the bandits dying, but clearly we can do way better as a nation in this fight against insecurity. It's a very sad one. It's on page 7. Well, the president is also speaking about the coalition against him, saying they are full of political IDPs. Yeah, that's President Tinubu saying the coalition against me is full of political IDPs. I must say, guys, that I sort of agree with the president on this one. And I think we must say what needs to be said. And this is not even supporting the president. When you look around, you wonder, would these people be forming a coalition if they were in power, or they got some sort of, you know, position or what have you in power? So these are the questions to ask. Sometimes you look at opposition in some sense and you wonder, is this just someone or a group of people who would say anything just to get in power? We've seen the example of the APC. They did and said everything and anything just to get to power. And we got to power and you start hearing terms like Baba go slow. And
body language, is that your
body language? And this is something we dealt with for years. Okay. So again, when Nigerians see opposition, you forgive them if they step back and just wonder, are you for real or not?
I do. Whether those in power and those out of power, is all about power.
Yeah.
That is the truth. The president, his ministers, the governors is all about power. Every other person who wants to upset them or upstage them is all about power.
Simple as that.
And the reasons are very clear. What you do with the power is now a different kettle of fish entirely. So I remember, I think it was in Years on Wicked, I was saying that this government does not have cabal. And I smiled. I said, because people are looking at you as all of the cabals. What is a cabal in that sense? A cabal is the inner circle that runs things, and not really deep state in that sense. So the other people were saying he's blindsided by the fact that he's in the inner circle. Maybe Akpabi is in the inner circle, so he doesn't see how this works. So I totally agree with you, my brother, that, look, it's about power and grab and all of that. So what I think as journalists we're trying to do is, now that the president has taken a position, as far as his economic policies are concerned, his social policies are concerned, let this coalition or these people that are coming together to upset the president, to challenge the president, give us an alternative idea of how they would have done it differently, or where things are at the moment, how they would do it differently. Not just coming to say, oh, it's not working, it's working. The president has taken his position, and we're dealing with the president's position as far as his reforms are concerned. So no problem, power will come and go, but what are you bringing to the table that is different?
Well, before we go to where power is leading us to, let's also talk a bit more about the power. And power really is about who gets what. And if you look at the actors or the dramatis personae in this coalition, you realize that really it's about power first of all, before it becomes about the people. And that's where I'm headed. Because, for instance, if the former governor of Kaduna State had become a minister under this administration, the story may just be a little different, with no involvement in coalition. If the former governor of Rivers State had been in good books with his successor in office, all through, and everything was just hunky-dory as it should be in politics, then if interests were aligned, then probably there would be no talk of involvement in the coalition. So, in that sense, maybe yes, indeed, there IDPs, but let's also look at it from the human perspective. How sensitive is that, reference to IDPs, considering the state of our own IDPs, our internally displaced persons as well? The government should also, be responsible to the IDPs and get them out of displacement. I'm just looking at it from the other perspective. And, that's just as critical this morning. The IDP comment, how sensitive is it to those who are really displaced in many parts of Nigeria's north? Benue, Plateau, the northeast, other parts of the northeast. So there's more to come.
Absolutely. And, we say time and again that politics is not just for the sake of politics. When we play politics in that sense, when the opposition tries to get into power, it's not power for you. It's, I have to use the term, power for the people or to the people. As they say, this is power that you're meant to use to better the lot of the people, to provide security, better the welfare of the people, better the economy. So it's a mandate that people give you and say, well, all of us cannot be in that position, but we're choosing you to go there and do things right so that things are better for us. That's the idea of power. So while there's political IDPs, I want to speak to you about real IDPs, either in Nigeria or out there. But we'll take a moment now from the dailies, and when we return, I will give you a sneak peek of my experience with the war in Ukraine, and we'll draw some inference to what is happening in Nigeria. That's in a moment. Please stay with us.